One of my earliest exposures to bluegrass music was when Briscoe Darling and his sons descended on Mayberry in the Andy Griffith Show, singing songs that made my mother cringe.
I warned them earlier today on 907.
Dipping a hat in horse trough.
Right.
As the good Baptists that we were, and still are, I promise, we didn't drink, smoke, or chew, or run with them that do. Well, kind of. So when the Darlings came around, my mom let me watch the show, but I wasn't allowed to sing the songs that they sang. Nor was I allowed to sing most country songs. Most of the country music I was exposed to had more to do with alcohol than my parents were comfortable with. And when we went to bluegrass festivals, my mom and dad made sure that we were tucked safely in bed before some of the rowdier folk came out to jam. As I grew up, I noticed that country music and bluegrass music dealt with alcohol differently. Country music accepts drinking as part of the sad lifestyle that its songs portray. From Hank Williams' "There's a Tear in My Beer" all the way down to Garth Brooks singing about friends in low places. Bluegrass deals with alcohol almost exclusively in the form of the Moonshine song. From the Darlings' "Dooley" to Dale Ann Bradley's "Run Rufus Run" to the Osborne Brothers' classic "Rocky Top."
Good old Rocky Top, Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee.
It's apparent that something different was going on in the minds of bluegrass songwriters as opposed to the country songwriters. So what's the difference? Over the years, I've learned that it's a combination of a few things: the Great Depression, the solitary life of the mountains, and the urbanization of country music. The Great Depression began in 1929 after the stock market crashed, not only in the United States, but around the world, and it lasted in the United States until Franklin Roosevelt entered World War II in 1941. When the economy crashed in 1929, the U.S. was deep in the era that we know as Prohibition. Sale of alcohol was made illegal constitutionally in 1920, and that policy lasted until 1933. Black market alcohol became the thing to buy. The combination of the Prohibition-era black market and the record unemployment in the 1920s caused the perfect storm for it to rain moonshine in rural America. Families were faced with the choice to produce and sell moonshine from what resources they had available, or starve. It was a difficult choice to make, and many of the moonshine songs that we know and love today reflect that. Dooley literally describes a black market operation as a small family business.
Dooley had 2 daughters and a party gal, and still one gal watched the boiler, the other watched the spout, and Mama corked the bottles when old Dooley fetched them out.
Run Rufus Run tells the story of a young boy taking shotgun blasts from the feds while on a moonshine run for his father, barely escaping with his life.
Oh, Rufus knew those mountain roads like the back of his hand. He could take those curves on 2 wheels and maybe a old sedan. So he run up a holler and lost them somewhere in a Williams range. There was one back road they didn't know. They never knew it ever stood a chance. And it was Run, Rufus, Run, run across the mountain.
Another thing I've learned is how the mountains and the people in them affected the development of the moonshine culture. The Appalachian Mountains, the birthplace of the moonshine ballad, was settled mostly by English immigrants. Britain at large consumed more spirits than beer or wine, while the Germans and Scandinavians that settled the Midwest, where I'm from, were definite beer lovers. The method by which spirituous liquor is made was perfected in Britain, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland, and it was these methods that settlers in the Appalachian Mountains brought with them. Most of what they were able to grow was sparse cornfields, which lent themselves well to the production of spirits. It was said that a wagon full of moonshine was worth on the market up to 10 times what that same wagon full of corn would have been worth, and getting a full wagon of corn was no small task given the poor soil conditions. Earlier in this video, I said that one other contributing factor to the contrast between bluegrass and country was the urbanization of country music. Obviously, it's called country music for a reason, so what did I mean by that? Nashville is, of course, the capital city of country music. Don't get me wrong, the music was nothing like the stuff coming out of New York or Los Angeles, But as country music made its bed in the city, it began to lie in it as well. It's just human nature to come to think of one's house as being home.
Did you remember to wipe your feet before you came into our home?
No, but I'm gonna wipe them when I get out.
If you examine the lyrics to country music, you find George Jones stops in at the Quick Stop for some beer and cigarettes, and Hank Williams goes to the city fair honky-tonkin'. The mountain people didn't have taverns, or honky-tonks, or quick stops. They had their families, the families on the neighboring mountains, and they had their horse. They didn't have much else. They didn't have the luxury of talking out their sorrows with the bartender or the guy on the next stool. The mountain life was a difficult life and not one for the faint of heart. You survived or you didn't. There wasn't anyone out there to pick you up if you fell down, and if you chose to get into the moonshine business, you usually had the revenuers out looking for you. You didn't trust anyone, mostly because there was no one to trust. So the next time you hear a moonshine song, think about the people who lived and often died in unthinkable conditions. I'll be honest, I don't think I could have made it. Anyone who's been in the mountains of Tennessee will tell you that mountain people are different. My experience has been that they have a completely different view on the world than this Minnesota farm boy. But that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Maybe, just maybe, we'd love our neighbors more if we thought about what the circumstances were that they were brought up in, or the factors that might have influenced them hundreds of years ago that they might not even know about. What do you think? Were there other factors that played into the rise of moonshine in music? What's your favorite moonshining song? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to check out our Facebook page for our live broadcast every Thursday night. And oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for new videos twice a week. Until next time, love music, love people more.